Where is it? Oh, here it is.
You got that spreadsheet?
Yeah, I got it. Oh look, there it is.
Looks like YouTube's up too,
Yeah.
but it says
Well, we got time. It's okay. Let's just I'll
Yeah.
pop in front of the camera
so.
or whatever. Oh, so you have nothing to do right now.
Are you sure this works?
Yeah, it should be working.
Okay.
It's working.
Yeah. Alright, so you're live.
So can you hop back to the Wirecast?
Mm-hmm. I want to see if this is working.
It's okay. Let's just
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Okay. So Wirecast.
Cool.
Alright. I think you're in.
All right. I guess we just need to reset Thomas's computer. Yeah. Well, the good news is there's only 2 people right now. So while we wait for more people, I'm going to share this to social, and I'm going to answer a bunch of your growth-related questions today. Today's just a test, by the way, and we are going to go crazy with live because we decided that live is very important. We do videos anyway, so why the hell not? Look, I actually got 2 computers here, right? And unfortunately, our buddy Noah is computerless right now. So in a couple minutes, I'm going to start, some questions, but I'm going to share this too. See if I can share this on, or maybe this has been promoted already. Maybe I'm not going to promote it. Hold on, give me 1 second. But where do I go in here? Let's see. Click for more. So let me type in my chat over here, hello. And those of you that are coming in right now, feel free to type in the chat, share this with people, share this with your loved ones, share this with your mom, share this with your dog. Oh cool, I can invite friends to watch. Let me do this real quick. Cool, Jimmy. Wow, thank you for asking the first question. So Jimmy's question, Jimmy, good to hear from you. Hope all is well. The first question is, what is your best advice for growing a podcast audience? So I like to always share this story. Hold on, let me pick this cable up right here. Make sure this thing is charging. Give me a second. So my advice for growing a podcast, very good question, Jimmy, is I'll share an anecdote. So when I first was doing the Growth Everywhere podcast, I've been doing it for close to 5 years now, and after the first year, I was spending 6 hours a day on it, or 6 hours a day, 6 hours a week on it, editing, reaching out to people, writing the show notes, even doing my really ugly designs and all that. And after the first year, I was only getting 9 downloads per day. Okay, and then after the second year, I kept going. I was only getting 30 downloads a day, so both pathetic numbers. And by all kind of standard measures, I probably should have given up. But in terms of growing it successfully, it's really been consistency, and it's the same thing with any type of content I do. I find that with blogging, for example, or I find with blogging, growing our YouTube channel, growing podcasts, it's always the same thing. It's like, how do you grow an audience quickly, right? I will say though, the marketing school podcast I do, which we're now hovering about 800,000 downloads a month. That one was just if you can find a way to get on other people's podcasts and go on a podcast tour, that works well. Or if you have the money to spend on email drops, email blasts, that's going to help you grow really quickly. Because when we first started marketing school, I hit my email list, Neil hit his email list, which is pretty substantial, and we got going pretty quickly. And the other thing I'll say too, that's probably pretty helpful for you, would be to start. Well, I lost my train of thought because somebody just messaged me. Damn, man, what was that? What's the thing that worked really well for us? Oh, publish every single day. So marketing school is every single day, right? And it stacks very quickly. And I would say the other thing is go to Libsyn and pick Libsyn as your host, and Libsyn will allow you to publish to different destinations. I'm sure other podcast hosts will allow you to do that. But when we publish to Spotify. We used to publish to SoundCloud, and I canceled that account. because I didn't want to pay 15 bucks a month because it wasn't doing that well. And we published to LinkedIn at the same time, Twitter at the same time. So just trying to be omnipresent, and that's something I talk about a lot on the Marketing School podcast, and it's something we're trying to get better at, being omnipresent in general. Jimmy, follow-up question from Jimmy. Where can he find an email drop service? You can find, okay, so here's what I recommend. There's a guy I recommend that's actually based in LA. He runs a company called Rainmaker Ventures, okay? So he's the email guy to talk to, so his name is Drew. You can tell him Eric Sue sent you. And I recommend checking him out. His company's been growing really quickly, which means business has been really good. Buy Sell Ads is another place you can go to do drops. And then the final thing I'll say is if you go to like any type of media property at all, you probably will be able to arrange one type of newsletter sponsorship type of deal. So I'd recommend that, because then eventually you can get those people to maybe opt in for something, and then you kind of control that audience. All right, give me 1 second. I'm gonna see if I can share this even more. And by the way, again, guys, this is just a demo for the first time. We're gonna get a lot more aggressive with this. We're testing like a simulcast right now with both YouTube and Facebook. So, Jimmy, I don't know if that answers your question. Hopefully it does. I'm going to add like some of my other friends in here real quick. Okay, cool. So I got some questions here from actually that people have sent over time. So one person said, "Hi Eric, I've been creating content consistently, but only few people have found it. Also, I'm missing the actual strategy to make money. What's your advice?" So obviously, this is probably someone that's starting out. Few people have found it. I mean, it's literally the same example I just gave. 9 downloads a day after the first year, 30 downloads a day after the second year. It's consistency. And like I look at a YouTube channel too, and it's like, okay, we had like 1,500 subscribers for the longest time, and then it's been like a long, hard slog, and we're only at like 13 or 14,000 subscribers after 2 years or so. So this stuff just takes time. I think when you look at all the people that are at like 100,000, 200,000 subscribers or so, they've just been doing it for a long time. And instead of trying to going for viral hits after viral hits, I stay consistent. I'm like the turtle in the race. Nothing particularly sexy about what I do, and I just keep doing it. And eventually people are going to have to pay attention to you. Like all the people that look down on you in the beginning, all the people that think you're nothing, they tell you you're small time, all that different stuff. Like, I think it's great. Like, honestly, I think it's great. I think it's fuel. I think it's motivation. And you just keep going. And if anything, you're free rolling because you're getting a lot of experience, and you can always, nobody can take that experience away from you. In terms of monetization, I don't know what your business is, so I can't really help you there until I know a little more about your business. But what I can say is, Bill Gates said in the 90s, every company has to become a media company if they're going to survive. And that's literally the same thesis that I shared with my podcast co-host yesterday. We're just talking about how we plan to market for 2019. We recorded up to recorded up to January 2nd of 2019. So we did that, and he was just saying how he's planning to buy other properties, buy other software, and then just and build and give stuff away for free to capture attention, which is basically it's the same thing as Facebook and Google, right? You're capturing attention, and when I look at what we've done too, it's the same thing. It's just you have to keep in mind when you compare, like when you're looking at Neil and myself, the one thing to look at is that he's been doing this stuff for 17 years. For me, it's probably 4 times less than that, or a quarter of that. And so, it's the reason I'm saying that is it's really easy for you to compare yourself to someone else's journey, and it's the same thesis overall, right? So. Same thing for me. It's either building or buying software, and that's the reason why I'm making a lot of adjustments from the agency perspective right now. What else do we got? Let's see. Somebody replied to Jimmy. Let's see. By the way, Yue, I don't know if we want to make a note of this afterwards, but I don't know if it's just easy for me to have both the YouTube chat and the Facebook chat open. Anyway, another question I'll answer, and then we'll probably work towards wrapping up this live test before we start to get real with it, starting in like 2 weeks. But let's see. Tate said, I'm so glad I came across your stuff. Your videos have been really helpful and really interesting to watch. Thank you. And I just wanted to thank you real quick for the effort you put into them and the insights you share. Thank you. Let's see. How do you go about clarifying and then deciding the specific topics that you want to focus on with your content/videos? And this is interesting. Actually, this goes back to the podcast we were recording yesterday. The area that Neil stays in and the area that I stay in is around marketing. So we're just going to continue to if we're building software, if we're doing freemium, it's just continuing to capture attention and then figuring out how to best serve those customers. And I think the important thing is to niche down instead of trying to do... Wow, that's a lot of questions. Holy shit. The Facebook has like no people on it right now, but the YouTube has a lot of people. Thanks, UA. There we go. So anyway, what I was saying is it's important to niche down instead of trying to do too many things. Because when I first started, like I don't know, like 5 years ago, when I took over this business, I was like, okay, I don't really want to do, you know, this. I'm waiting for the door to close. You know, this agency thing is nice, but that's not what my true skill set is. Like I can do, you know, my true skill set is growing businesses, right? So I was like, okay, so I'm gonna try to do the senior living thing, and then I'm gonna try to, and I own part of like this one firearms blog, and I'm not really into firearms, but it's like we just know how to grow things from scratch, 0 to 2 million visits a month, and you know, other properties where we're growing to a couple 100,000 visits a month. We just know how to do that over and over. I'm like, okay, we're gonna just, you know, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. But I find that now just focusing around marketing and continuing to stay in that area instead of trying to like jump all over the place, it's easier that way, right? So let me give you an example. If you think of success like a sphere, or actually I'll use this bowl over here because I ate all the Cheerios already. So we use this bowl over here. Success is on all the edges, right? Now, if you start in the middle, right here, you start in the middle, you go up, you try to do something else, 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 you'll never eventually reach the edge, right? But if you stay in one area and you just like start moving, eventually you're gonna hit the edge over there, right? So that's the example I like to give. Obviously, there's a lot of different analogies, but you know, when you focus, when I find that I focus, the stronger I get, right? Which is why, like, when I focus around entrepreneurship with the Growth Everywhere podcast and then moved over into marketing, those two are kind of different, but at the same time, a lot of entrepreneurs like marketing, right? And a lot of marketers want to be entrepreneurs, so they kind of tie in together. And now the software I have is tied in with marketing too. I have a marketing agency, right? And I found that, like, even with the marketing agency, when we try to focus on working with too many clients, it doesn't work out. But now when we work with, we focus on software companies, right? Because that's my background. And you know, we focus on, you know, big tech companies, sure, because you know, we know how to work with big tech companies like the Ubers and the Amazons of the world. And then, you know, maybe there's education in there, right? So it's really important, I think, to focus in first. And then once you become really successful, let's say you're starting to hit like 8 or 9 figures, then you can consider moving into other arenas. Hopefully that helps. Yeah, Justin, smash that like button. Thank you for that. Yeah, sorry guys, I didn't see the YouTube comments until now. I think next time we'll open both the YouTube and Facebook comments. Nicholas said, thanks for the live, good format. What are the best types of acquisition channel for SaaS at the moment? So Trello kind of SaaS. Okay, so I'm assuming this is like project management. So I would say this, and I guess we'll extend this for 5 minutes or so. So keep dropping your questions in there, especially YouTube, love you, Facebook as well. I have Facebook open on my other screen. But what's been working well for us from a SaaS perspective is when we drive paid traffic to a webinar, or it could be like a video where it's gated and they have to put in their email address, and then afterwards you follow up with them, or maybe they have to apply to get on a call to demo with you, right? Because what happens is the video, you're building a relationship with them immediately with the video. Hopefully you're hooking them in the beginning, and then they see another video of you, and then you're able to get them into an application, and then afterwards you can actually close them on a deal. So we've been doing this for a little bit, and it's actually been fairly successful for us. And you can sell. This is the model, literally the same model that Russell Brunson from ClickFunnels used, and his business is on track to do over $100 million annual recurring revenue, or ARR. They didn't raise any money at all. Lead Pages raised about $28 million. Their competitor, Infusionsoft, another one of their competitors, raised about $128 million. They raised $0 million, and that's what they do. They drive people to a webinar, right? And a lot of SaaS companies, I find that they do this incorrectly. And the other thing I'll say about SaaS too is, if you know your metrics really well, where you know in 90 days you're going to make $2, but you might lose $1 up front for the first 90 days. You're going to do that all day, right? So you got to know your numbers, and I recommend using a tool like Wicked Reports to kind of check out how you can look at your 30-day ROI, your 90-day ROI, and then maybe your 365-day ROI. Because if you can play the long-term game, you're not like the other marketers where you got to break even in the front and like immediately. You are fundamentally better because you can afford to spend more money. So whoever can afford to spend more money from a customer acquisition standpoint, those are the winners, right? So, and then the final thing I'll add to that, the caveat is, don't just because you're in SaaS doesn't mean you just need to focus on paid ads. If you can combine this with other channels like content marketing, SEO, email marketing, combine all of them, then you can become much stronger. Don't be one of those marketers that's just like, oh, I'm in SEO and content, and then you kind of look down on the other channels. I always found those closed-minded people actually are the ones that end up not doing as well as the others. So be very open-minded about different acquisition channels. And just because you tried something before doesn't mean it's not going to work like a year or two later. So be very open-minded. Like I say this on marketing school all the time with Neil. Like, you know, a lot of the stuff that we've said like 2 years ago from doing the podcast is invalid now or just plain incorrect. So that's why we're constantly changing our mind, and that's why like we're iterating so quickly, and we realize like some things we say like it could be even out of date in like a couple weeks. So just keep that in mind. Let's see, who else we got here? Tekna just asked, is it really beneficial to use a long campaign as opposed to a short campaign? Don't want to lose the lead due to it being a lot to read. I'm going to interpret that as long form versus short form, and that's the best I can do right now unless you can clarify in the chat. So when we look at, and I think the answer is it depends, you should test, right? So we have a long form, we had a long form video for one of our webinars. It was like 45 to 50 minutes or so, and then we converted it into a 15-minute video instead, and we found that converted better, right? We found that getting succinct to the point and putting the offer in front of them was actually, it performed better. But again, your mileage may vary. For me to kind of prescribe something for you is difficult. I will say, like, if you're selling like a $1,000 or $2,000 course, you're gonna see a lot of the people have like really long form copy, and that works out well because you're aiming for people need to digest a lot of information. Otherwise, you can just do a video, right, and make that video your long form piece of content. So I think, again, I don't have a direct answer for you, but I think the key thing is test, because I've tried both, and sometimes, I'll say, oh, the short form is probably going to do better, but the long form does better. And sometimes I think the long form is going to do better, but the short form does better. So, yeah, your mileage may vary. Okay, so today is just a test over here. If you guys actually enjoyed this, hit the like button. Tell me in chat right now if you actually enjoyed this. I'm like scrolling around YouTube right now. If you guys actually enjoyed this, tell me in Facebook, tell me in YouTube. We're going to promote it better next time, and we're going to come with even more questions to answer for you guys. And the main thing is this. Oh, Jan just asked a question. I'll answer one more question. Jan just asked, have you ever considered selling your agency? I'm currently having some profits in my agency. I'm not sure if I should reinvest or take them out as a founder. Thoughts if we're fully remote? Okay, Jan, so I have an agency, right? And we're actually actively looking for a CEO right now to replace me. So I'll put it to you this way. One of my friends, he sold his agency that did about $5 million in EBITDA, which is operating profit, sold it for $50 million. Now, if you give me $50 million, I might be interested. But usually what happens is at agency size, like if you're doing, you got to be doing at least 10 million in top line revenue, right, to even kind of be considered. So, ideally like 15, 20, 25 million or so. If not, you're better off, having it as a cash flow business. People talk about cash flow or, lifestyle business or whatever. The way I see it is I can use the agency. The agency fosters great talent, and then also the agency can help incubate, other projects that we're working on. So that's how I see the agency. I think the agency is a great way to get other things started. And it's also a great way for you to prove that you actually know what you're doing from a business standpoint. Because when I look at the other projects, yeah, we raised a seed round, but we didn't have to raise a lot more money, even though I could have raised a couple $1 million. I don't need to do that right now because I know that I can do it because I know how to grow businesses, from an actual marketing standpoint and from an actual business standpoint. So I would say for you, you probably don't need to sell it. Grow it well, get good cash flows from it, have a good profit from it, and then fund the other stuff. And and you're probably not going to be able to sell it for a good multiple right now because it sounds like you're kind of starting out right now, which is completely fine. I don't think there's any issues if you're remote. Yeah, so let's just put it that way. Try to get to 10 million first, and then consider maybe selling. And speaking of that, before I go, we actually have an agency offering right now. You guys can always add me on Instagram, Ericosu, so ERIC, O as in orange, S as in sugar, IU. But if you're interested in growing your agency, we actually have a training for that. It's a free training, and then you can also apply to learn more about what we have kind of behind the scenes afterwards. Just go to singlegrain.com/agency-apply. So I'll put that into the chat right now, since I have 3 computers in front of me. So singlegrain.com/agency-apply. All right, and I'll do that in the chat over here. And that's it. Feel free to email me, Eric, ERIC, @singlegrain.com, or go to singlegrain.com/agency-apply. Let me know what you thought about this. Leave it in the comments, or you can DM me directly at Instagram, because some people have been doing that, at Ericosu. So we're gonna do this again. Let me know what you liked, what you didn't like, how we can do better at this, and we will see you in a week or 2. Goodbye.